Coming from a married couple who investigates all things supernatural. Welcome to the paranormal and metaphysical world of Twilight Tonight. Host Dee Moonflyer grew up with very open-minded parents who had many experiences with UFOs and the paranormal. Because of her mom's insistence on exposing her to spiritual classes, meditation, and teachings of Edgar Cayce, Dee had a fascination and deep interest in the paranormal. Her own paranormal experiences have led her to seek out and interview other fascinating, knowledgeable people for better understanding of this phenomenon. Now, your host of Twilight Tonight, Dee Moonflyer.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Twilight Tonight. Tonight we have some amazing guests as always, but this lady is one of my faves. She's wrote one of my favorite books this year. Please welcome Nicole Strickland.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you for having me again.
Oh, I love talking to you, Nicole, and I love this new book, The After Life Chronicles, exploring the connection between life, death, and beyond. I love all the stories in it.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a labor of love to write. So coming from you, that means a lot. So thank you for having me again. It's so good to talk to you.
And it's nice to see you in person.
I know, right? Oh, yeah, because the last time, it was just audio. Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah. You know, I love the story about your grandmother and the really awesome connection you had with her in this book.
Yeah.
And, you know, that feeling that we all get before someone we love passes, that we kind of know it, but we don't know it at the same time.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Right. And it's one of those, at least for me, it's one of those experiences that you would never dream of having, but yet it comes to you at the right time that it's supposed to, I guess. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it fascinating. And one reason why I love this book, you talked about sleep paralysis. And I've had that. Hey, this thing.
She's so adorable. I love it. She's
She's eating her perch now for attention. Yeah. Amazons. Yeah.
She knows how to entertain herself.
Oh, yeah. And others.
Yeah.
Magbird. No, baby.
She's like, what?
Me?
So precious. I love it.
You gotta say, hey. Say hello, Nicole. Turn around.
And she's like, no, I'm walking away.
I know. Now she's going to slide down like a pole. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh. I wish I
You
could
want
see
her?
her in person.
Just kidding. I love this book.
I know, right? I'm like, I wish I could see her in person, but
yeah, I have cats and dogs as well. And I have Noah's Ark. And I have another bird too in the background. So if you hear
I love you all the more for that. Love you all the more. Yep.
The sleep paralysis section fascinated me. That's one thing I have been afflicted with my whole life is sleep paralysis.
Interesting.
Ever since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And it's the connection I always felt, even as a child, to the here and the there.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, of course, raised me in this. And reading that section fascinated me. How do you feel when do you have sleep paralysis? Is this something you've?
Yeah, I've experienced it a few times. I can't say it's a regular experience for me. And just in my experience in the work, I've learned, at least for me, because everyone's experience might be a little different, for me, it's different than actually a dream visitation, let's say with a departed loved one. And so I actually debated whether or not to include that section in there, but I felt why not, just in case people are thinking that's what it is. So, with sleep paralysis, it's thought to be a psychological type of, not really disorder. I guess it's connected to like a sleep disorder, like narcolepsy or whatnot. There's similarities and differences, but a lot of people feel, or a lot of medical practitioners and psychologists, psychiatrists feel that it's not necessarily a paranormal origin. It's actually more of a psychological, physical type of origin. But I feel that people can have authentic paranormal encounters during sleep paralysis, but a lot of the typical encounters, like, okay, you feel like you're someone's sitting on your bed, or you're seeing like a shadow at the end of your bed, you're seeing someone in bed, you're in that sleep state. So it's like a hypnagogic, hypnopompic. So upon waking up, it's a hypnopompic type state where you're in between sleep and wakefulness, and then hypnagogic, which is when you're just about to start dozing off. You're in between those two, being awake and sleep states, and usually that's when it occurs. And then they've done studies to analyzing the REM of the eyes and so forth during
Mhm.
it. But there are a lot of similarities that would make it sound like it could be paranormal in origin, and maybe it is for some people. It's fascinating. But for
Yeah.
me, dream visitations based on the ones that I've had, for example, with my cat Kaylee, those are completely different for me
Yeah.
than an actual like sleep paralysis type of episode.
It's weird because after my brother passed, I had several dreams, and they felt very different.
Mhm.
Like for, gosh, I don't know how long. It must have been a couple months. I would dream we were
Wow.
taking a walk around the block together and talking and talking
Oh,
and
wow.
talking. And then next thing I knew, he looked at me in the dream. He goes, "This is what I felt like when I died." And he took his hand and hit my chest.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and those dreams felt so different to me,
Mhm.
kind of like what you described in your book. And then he got younger in the dreams, and he
Oh,
dissipated.
wow.
He didn't visit me anymore.
That's I have goosebumps right now. Like, they're all over my body. I mean, he was, in my opinion, just trying to give you a message and letting you know that
Yeah.
he's okay. And there's symbolism there, and there can be a lot of subjectivity, but I take that as he was letting you know that he's whole again, going
Yeah.
back to that youthful state and all of that. That's phenomenal.
And it was weird. It was like a whole session of healing for him. Like he would
Mhm.
cry on me. And then each night I was going to have those dreams. It felt like a different, like you said, exactly. It's a different
Mhm.
dream state, like no other than you ever have.
Right, it's hard to describe it in the words you want to use. It's just one of those things, like, when you experience it, you'll know. And
Yeah.
for me, especially and I've had dream visitations with other departed loved ones, but specifically after my cat Kaylee passed, I mean, I've had about 16 or 17 of these so far, always in the same environment as I'm sleeping. I bet if you had a camera on me, if you reviewed the footage, you would see that I'm laying still. But I believe it's a little bit of my astral self that pops out a little bit to reach her on her level. So she comes down to our level, and me kind of going out a little bit astrally to meet her. And it's always the same surroundings as when I went to sleep, same lighting, same room. And it's just, the dreams are so, so powerful. And you wake up with that sense of love and peace. And that's, to me, what distinguishes really a red, or I guess the smoking gun, so to speak, as to what really differentiates from a sleep paralysis episode, is just waking up with that sense of love and peace. So,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was very like we were very close. I'm always close with my siblings, um, especially him. We were named after each other, and we are born 10 years apart, a day apart.
Oh my gosh, look at
Yeah,
that. Oh,
so we were pretty
wow.
close.
Does
So
he
I
come
think he was
around
just,
for you often, or usually just within dreams?
it's really funny. He comes around and he just will pop into my dreams, and
Mhm.
I'll feel him once in a while. But I only feel him, like I'm Gen X. I only feel him when his favorite music comes on.
Oh, maybe that's just kind of the cue for him to come through.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
wow.
he loved to dance. He was really into the new wave 80s thing. Yeah, we had a lot of fun when we were younger.
That's, I
So,
mean, I love to hear when siblings are very close,
oh
because
yeah,
a lot of times you don't often see that. I know in my family, some of my aunts, are siblings and they're not as close as they could be, so that's good.
yeah,
It's very, very important. But yeah, sleep paralysis is interesting. I think some people have an awareness or they think they're being awake, and it's almost like at least for me, it's like you get startled really
yeah,
quickly. And I've actually a couple of times I've woken myself up, not screaming, but like yelling. I guess a type of screaming, yelling or talking really loud, and then you wake up. So it's bizarre, really
yeah,
so bizarre how the brain works.
yeah.
I'm not so sure we understand the brain 100%,
It's weird. I
obviously.
always say, Hail, I grew up Catholic. I'm not
Hmm.
Catholic now,
Me too.
but those prayers come right back, and I will like
Hmm.
start saying Hail Mary over and over when I have that because
Yeah,
I feel trapped.
you
It's an
do.
interesting.
Yeah, you do for that instant, but I know people such as yourself that have that a lot, like, all the time. Um, it's bizarre. It was weird the other night. I had a really, really bad headache last Friday night, and I'm not saying this is sleep paralysis, but I'm wondering what happened because right before the headache, when I woke up, I was actually asleep, but I was in that hypnagogic state where I think I was just starting to doze, and I heard people talking.
Yeah.
Someone said the name McCarthy, and then I started hearing sounds of like wind, like rushing wind or like a pulsating type of sound, and then banging against like the doors, and then I woke up and it was silent. So I don't think that was
Huh.
sleep paralysis, but it was something. It was weird.
Yeah, that's really odd. And
Yeah.
I wonder, like, especially because I'm prone to migraines as well. I'm wondering if that headache opens certain passages in our brain.
That's a good point. That's astute. I think there's something to that.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
wonder if we're more open to
Mhm.
things coming in and trying to. I mean, that sounds weird, but I often wonder because I know in the migraine, there's a certain section in the migraine state that you feel like you can hear.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's just opening something up in our brain.
It very well could be. Very well could be. I think it's something that needs to be studied more. That would make a great study,
I know, wouldn't
you know?
it? I know
Yeah,
what we
that
should be
I
doing.
let's start it. Let's do a study, right? Oh my gosh.
Darn. And also my next question is, and I have a firm belief that people that have had close death experiences feel a closeness to the other side. What is your viewpoint on that, Nicole?
That's a good topic. Again, this can be a little subjective. I think to answer that, it's a good idea to look at or talk about past lives.
Yeah.
And I've been told many times, "Oh, Nicole, you're an old soul." And I feel it. And so I think, with people like myself who are maybe more in tune to their past lives and maybe can remember glimpses of their past lives, then it's fine to say that, okay, well, this isn't my first rodeo, that I've done this before. And it
Right.
sounds odd. It sounds very weird. I know. But for me, I feel like the afterlife and understanding it and connecting with it is something that I know, that I'm familiar with, although I shouldn't be. So maybe there some has to do with like past lives or something like that, or just being in touch with your soul, the whole old soul thing. So, but that's a good. I mean, what's your thought on that? Because that's a good point.
You know, it's really hard because I had a career that was stemmed from a past life for 30 years.
Oh, oh wow,
And so it was a very difficult goodbye to that. But when I figured it out, and it took me traveling to Turkey to figure that out.
interesting. You don't hear stories like that too often, so that's
Yeah, it took
very
me a long
intriguing.
time. And, I mourned the ending of my profession. Not because part of it was my physical body, obviously, because when you've danced for so many years, your body's like,
Yeah, right.
you're old, you're done.
Yeah.
But it was a feeling of complete doneness.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a fear of Germany when I was a child. Horrible fear of Germany. And my brothers did not.
Oh.
But then the dream that I had explained that fear much later. And
So
explained my profession.
That to me is a sign that you're very in touch with yourself, your soul, your past lives. And I know some people don't believe in the aspect of past lives. I do. I don't think that when we were born into this mortal plane, that before that was just absolute black nothingness. I think we've evolved from many different types of lives. And obviously when we pass on from this one, it's just a continuation in the soul's evolution. That's my belief. But there's something very beautiful about the afterlife. Just it's like an innate knowing, but also in the work that we do and the work that I do, I've learned a little bit more about it and communicating with energies. You get glimpses of it. And that leads me to another point. It's just my belief on this. I don't know. Everyone's different, but I wonder if we're not supposed to, as mortals, know everything about the afterlife or our next life. I think we're only being shown glimpses of it just so we get an idea of it. Because if we knew everything, I think that would not ruin it, but it's better if we don't know about 100% about what it is. I don't know. Just my take on it, I guess.
And I think, too, if we knew everything about our past lives, we might be very upset with ourselves as humans.
Right.
Because I think we've been everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually had on once, oh gosh, I'm blanking on their names, wonderful couple, and they are past life regressionists. And I remember her saying, we've all been kings and queens. And it's like, wow, it's true. I mean, we've, all had these similar types of experiences. It makes sense, right? We're so interconnected.
Yeah.
So.
And I think we run into people. I think we're drawn to people. Because soul groups, I think we've known people. That's why we get along with certain people so easily.
Right. I agree.
Now, Nicole, back to your amazing book, which you guys...
You are too kind. You are too kind.
The stories in here are amazing. Like, there's not, like, you can't find a bad one in here.
Oh my gosh, that makes me feel so good. Oh, yes.
It's so hard.
It is, yeah.
I don't think people know when you have experiences, like we all can explain stuff. To find people we have like-minded experiences is like a relief. Now, I grew up with this. My mom was marvelous in this stuff, but if she didn't, I seriously think I'd have a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Growing up, I wouldn't have been able to explain anything. I would have been like, I think I need medication.
Right. Oh gosh, it's so hard because religious backgrounds and things. I've always come from the perspective that you need to like almost keep paranormal research, afterlife research separate from religion and not really mix them too much. But yes, people's backgrounds, and that's the stories in the book. I felt, when doing this, for me, having those interweaved throughout the book, almost like as supporting topics for what I was talking about, I think would be very effective. And so far, I've had that feedback. So, and coming from you, that means a lot. And so the stories help people relate, and readers can read and say to themselves, wow, that's something similar that I experienced, or wow, okay, my dad experienced that. So it brings it all home.
Yeah. I think people just starting to get into this are realizing there's something else in their life need that, because you don't get a lot of that sometimes, depending where you are.
Right.
Sometimes you get zero. Sometimes I know now, and still these days, and I don't know about you, when people ask what I do, It's like, oh, well, I do this, and then I have a paranormal podcast and a live show with Todd Bates. And they're like, what is it? I'm like, it's on paranormal, metaphysical, spiritual. They're like, oh.
I've been there. I think we all have a few times. It's so funny though, because some people are so fascinated by it, and others you can tell they're a little weary of it. But
Yes.
in a way, part of that, I mean, I hate to say this, but the mass media, Hollywood, it often portrays what we do incorrectly. So I think it's easy for people to be swayed by what they're getting from like mass media and Hollywood and movies and horror movies and all of that. And horror and the paranormal really are, in my opinion, separate. Really, it's like two different genres. So I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, it's crazy how some people are like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. And others are just like, oh, okay.
They're like, have you been thrown across the room or dragged down a hallway?
Yes. Oh, God.
And if I was, I'd run.
No, right, exactly.
That's not normal in the paranormal.
Exactly. Oh my God.
That's just not normal.
It's so true. Oh.
So, Nicole, I know you do tons of stuff with the Queen Mary.
Oh, you really want me to go on about the Queen Mary, right? Because I just won't shut up. I'm telling you right now. No, I'm kidding. I try to condense it. Yeah, but have you?
Well, I tell you what, we're going to go on a quick break, but
Oh,
I want to come back and talk a little bit about
Sure
your
thing.
home away from home.
yes.
Speaking of
We'll do that.
reincarnation,
Yes.
we'll be right back with more Nicole Strickland. We're back with Nicole Strickland and Maggie.
Oh, there she is. Hi. Oh,
Yeah, baby.
I wish I could be there in person so I could meet and talk to her. Oh, she's just precious.
If you're ever in my area, you have to come over. I'll make you dinner.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Meet the animals. I'm a vegetarian cook.
Oh, I love that. Love that.
Yeah, no meat.
I wish I could be a vegetarian. I've tried. It's just with Italian and Irish genes, it's like, whoa, I don't know. But I love vegetarian food though. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh. I work at an Italian market during the day.
Oh, now isn't
in
that
the deli,
wonderful?
so I cut the prosciutto.
You cut the prosciutto. I love it.
And I get so grossed out. I'm like,
yeah,
that's my life, Nicole. It's my life.
Oh my God, I love it.
But I want to talk about a place that's special to your heart and a really interesting place, I think, in the paranormal world and parapsychology as well, is the Queen Mary.
The Queen Mary. Now, have you been before?
No, and I want to so bad.
When you come out here, I will take you on board. It's truly phenomenal, and I'm going to try to condense this because I know we don't have a lot of time, but I was first introduced to the ship back in the year 2001 when I was in college, and there's a Carnival cruise port adjacent to it. So I first saw it from the backseat of a car, and it's hard to put this in words. It was an instant connection just from that car. And I remember saying to myself, I'll be back here someday. So a few years later, 2005 came, I actually went on board. Now, the first moment I stepped on board, everything about it was familiar. I knew I had been there before. It felt like home. It felt just completely where I needed to be. And as I learned in my studies, because I've studied it historically, of course, and then of course paranormal research wise, I've been researching it for many years. I've learned from former crew and former passengers that yes, there's this draw and connection that people have to the ship. And so very, very quickly, there's so much history, but the ship was uh, launched on September 26, 1934 as a Cunard ocean liner, not a cruise ship, but an ocean liner going from Southampton to Cherbourg, France to New York City and back. That was her route. And then with the outbreak of World War II, she was requisitioned for war service along with her sister liner, the Queen Elizabeth, mainly for two reasons, her size and her speed. And so she served a very successful career in World War II, helping to save the lives of millions of men, women, and children as a troop transport carrier, a hospital ship. She carried German and Italian prisoners of war. Then war brides, of course. And then after the war uh, was over, she resumed her peacetime travels from Southampton to Cherbourg, New York City, and back. She did that until 1967 when she retired after her 1001st voyage in Long Beach, California, and has been there ever since as a hotel, museum. They have restaurants and shops on board, numerous different types of activities on board. It is literally the shining gem of Southern California, in my opinion. So I just gave the bare bones of the history. There's so much history with this ship. I'm still learning. And it's interesting. I've had people say, oh my gosh, Nicole, you're like an expert on the Queen Mary. I appreciate that. But I like to say that I'm a student of the Queen Mary. I feel like the expert is the ship itself. But I'm always learning from the ship and from her spiritual activity. And I have a little bit of a different take on why. Now, it's hard to answer why, but maybe one of the reasons why the Queen Mary is so active, paranormally speaking. In my experience, and in with talking with others, I feel for me, that the Queen Mary is a sentient vessel. She has heart, she has a soul, she has emotions, she can communicate. And I think there's this wonderful duality between the ship being one gigantic spirit and then how it plays out with her resident human spirits, that there are many resident energies on board and then those that come and pass through. So there's that incredible relationship. And I think that that's what makes her so different than other locations. And it's truly a remarkable place. And I've had many, many people, even John Treasure Jones, he was the captain that brought the ship into Long Beach on December 9th, 1967. He said, the Queen Mary is the closest to a human being of any ship that I've ever commanded. And so it's interesting. It's interesting. We're really good friends with a war bride. Her name is June Allen. And she was among the first wave of war brides after the war. And she said it like this. She's like, the Queen Mary chooses you. She knows the people that can tap into her soul and want to connect with her. And I think it's so true. So it's phenomenal. So
I would love just to feel that.
I think you would connect with the ship. I really do. I really feel that. I think you would get on board and be like, oh, that's what Nicole is talking about.
Wow. That's interesting. Some houses are like that too.
They are. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just, it's a connection. There's like a soul connection. I've even had past life regression to say, oh, you were on board before. I've had people say you were a past nurse. I've had someone say that perhaps I'm one of the child spirits on board. Maybe that was me in a past life. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's definitely a soul connection. So
now I know you stayed overnight on the Queen Mary, haven't you?
Oh, many times. I mean,
because they have like rooms you can actually
it's a hotel.
In.
Yeah.
So Nicole, when you stayed there, how did you sleep?
Interesting question. I usually sleep really well there, and that brings me to another topic is people have had waking dreams on board. Types of dreams, dream visitations that have to deal with the ship's history and the ship's tapestry. I've talked with many people that have said that they've met captains and they would look at their pictures and later say, that's who I spoke to in my dream, or passengers have come to visit them that were on the ship in their dreams. So I think that's a way that the Queen Mary uses to connect with people. But usually for me, I don't go to bed there till real late, because it's just
Yeah.
I'm up doing stuff. But when I do sleep there, it's very, very peaceful.
Wow. That was like, I
That's
was
a
so
good
curious.
question. That's a good question because I don't get asked that a lot. So, yeah.
I don't know. It could either go two ways in my mind. Like, either you'd feel very loved and like coddled
Yep.
by her, or that energy, or very awake the whole time.
It's almost, gosh, that the love and the energy that I do feel the love. Myself and many other people have said this. I don't want to leave the ship. I don't want to leave. I know this sounds hokey and cheesy for people, especially if they don't know the Queen Mary and have never been introduced to her. I actually cry when I leave every single time. It's like this connection. You feel like you're at home there. It's so hard to put in words. Because I sound like a maniac talking about it like this, but it's so real to so many people. There's
Yeah.
something there. Definitely something that's drawing this.
I understand connections like that because I've had a few of my own where you just feel that's where you should be.
That's it.
And you can't
That's
explain
exactly
it to
it.
anybody. You don't know
No.
why.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to be there.
That's how it is. 100%. And just when I first started feeling that way, I'm like, gosh, is there something wrong with me? No, obviously, no. I can't even tell you how many people I've met that have that same feeling. So I'm glad that I'm able to connect with the ship like I am, because some people don't get it. I can tell. I can be on board and be like, oh, nope, they don't get it. Oh, that person gets it. It's hard to talk about it in words. It's more of an experience that you need to have. So.
And I think the connection with water stuff, like when I was little, I always had a connection with the ocean, but especially the Great Lakes in the New York area.
See?
I have that connection. Now, my grandparents are from there, but there's just something about the Great Lakes. Like, I could just sit and stare for hours and hours.
Something drawing
it's so
you.
familiar. New England is very familiar. When I went to Turkey, that was like, I knew I was there before. I could feel it. The energy from the buildings, the smells were just, I know I had lived there. But I understand that feeling of wanting to be always there. So I know where you're
Sounds like
from.
it's similar. It's very similar. And, another aspect too is the RMS Titanic. Now, we all know the outcome of that beautiful ship, but in many ways, the Titanic and Queen Mary are compared to one another. So, and I know this is out there, but I feel within my heart that perhaps, if there is such a thing, I know this sounds hokey, perhaps the Titanic in a metaphorical type of way reincarnated into the Queen Mary, and the Queen Mary lives on for a lot of the other ships that didn't make it. So there's that aspect too. So, and I've had a past life on the Titanic, so I can tell. I know I have. So maybe there's that connection too.
Yeah, I love how you have such a love. I could tell when you're talking and your expression in your eyes.
Oh, I do. I know. It's a little crazy at times, but I do.
And if you think about it, how fortunate you are to be close to that Queen Mary so you could visit.
Yes. Not close enough. I'm about an hour and a half away, 2 hours with traffic, but yeah, I've thought about moving to Long Beach just to be closer. I have some good friends that live up there, and one of Joe is one of my good friends, and he could walk to the ship. He's there all the time. So yeah, he's very lucky. Yeah, he's very lucky.
You're like, can I build beside you in your
I
backyard?
know, right? Are there any openings in your condo that I can come to? I know. Oh my gosh.
Now, Nicole, do you do lectures on the ship yourself?
I have done lectures aboard the ship, but I do lectures about the ship. So sometimes they've been aboard, and then other times they've been at conferences or libraries. I have about, I think, 14 or 15 types of presentation topics that I do, whether it's libraries, conferences, events. So I love to present. It's weird. It's one of those things. When I was a kid, I hated it. I'm like, please don't call on me. Please don't call on me. But and then as an adult, it's just second nature. I just really like it. So yeah.
And I do have a couple questions. I know you have an up and coming book that you wrote with two other ladies that I'm a little fascinated by, and I can't wait to actually
Oh
get that
yes.
book.
Yeah. You want me to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, just a little sneak peek. I talked to Denise anew about it.
Isn't she wonderful?
She is a sweetheart, and I want
Yes.
to contact the other lady
Marie.
as well. I'd like to have all three of you on Twilight tonight at some point to
Sure.
talk
Yeah,
about.
Marie Jones would be wonderful to have on. She actually, I'm in central San Diego and she's just north of me, Marie, by about half hour or so.
That's
But
awesome.
this book, so Women on the Fringe, Groundbreaking Women in the Paranormal, this book idea was Marie's idea. And then she asked Denise and I if we'd like to be a part of it. So it is an anthology about women in the paranormal research field. So different branches: ghost research, afterlife research, psychic mediums, podcasters, authors. So it's a book about that. So it's an anthology. And
Yeah,
so it's going to be out by Where's Lucy Productions March of next year. So, and this is our last month of uh, I guess we're looking for maybe a few more people, but I think we're closing it like by the end of August.
I'm
So, but
excited about.
it's fun. It's a I've never written an anthology, so to me it's a good experience. And they're great authors, Marie and Denise. They're
Yeah,
fabulous. So,
I can't wait to read it. I'm excited. When I saw that advertisement, I got a hold of Denise. I was like, "Oh,
oh
Marie,
yeah, oh my gosh,
Marie, oh yeah,
you'll have to get a hold of Marie, or I can put you guys in touch however you
yeah,
want.
I'd
But
love that."
they're both very fabulous ladies, very accomplished authors. So I'm really honored to be working with them and everyone else that's involved as well. So
I think it's cool. Like I keep telling people, I'm like, I can't wait for this one book to come out. It's going to be cool. And they're like,
yeah,
"What book? What are you talking about?" I said, "It's about women in paranormal." And they're like,
right?
"Okay."
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's an
Yeah.
anthology is a whole different ball game to me, but it's, life's a learning lesson. So why
Don't
not
we
do
know
it,
it?
right? Why not, right?
I know. So I know this book just came out, but
Yeah.
don't you have number 9 in
Number 9,
the
I think that is number 9. The anthology will be number 10, I
number
believe.
10? Okay.
Yeah. I have others that I wanna write that I haven't started yet because I just don't know what to start. I'm one of those weird people that likes to write a book or 2 at a time. I'm not one of these to write. Some people may like it. I'm just one of these, like, 1 at a time, maybe 2, that's it. So,
Right.
yeah.
So, Nicole, out of curiosity, I know you've been a lot of places. I always love to ask researchers this one question. If you could go to one place in the next 6 months or anytime soon to investigate or to just sit and take it all in, where would it be?
Oh my gosh. We have to do national and international. Oh my gosh. I mean, well, there's so many, but I will say, I was talking to Michael Lasciana's in here. I was talking to him about this earlier. Hi, Michael. I see. Oh, I don't know who else is. Oh, yeah. Oh, Ron's in here from Ghost Research Society. So Gettysburg is definitely on the top, and I will be doing that next summer with Ghost Research Society. I'm their California coordinator, and so it's headed up by Dale Katzmarek. He's pretty well known as a paranormal researcher. So Gettysburg, I have not yet been. I want to go. It will be next summer, and mainly to pay my respects, but yes, of course, to investigate. So that's one. But oh my gosh, Oh man, the top one, it's hard to pick because there's so many.
There is so many wonderful places to go to.
I it's hard for me. Let me think on it for the next couple of minutes just because it's so hard. I'm thinking of a place internationally. And again, there's so many, but it's just like to pick one is so hard.
It is.
Yeah, man. I have to think on that. Sorry, guys. I don't know. So, what about you?
Oh God, there are so many. I'm like you.
I know, right?
Well, in the United States, I would like to see the Queen Mary.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone's talked about it so much. Is one of my top places in the U.S. But abroad would probably be anywhere in Scotland or Ireland. But
Yeah.
in France, there's like a island. I think it's Saint Michael or something's island, and you can only get across by bridge. And it used
Oh,
to be a huge
wow.
monastery, and now it's a
Okay.
town. And it
Now that's
was
interesting.
in 1400, like 940 after Christ. I mean, it is old. And
That
there were
sounds
monks.
very historical, very, very
Yeah.
historical. I would say Scotland for me too, because that's where the Queen Mary obviously was built.
Yep.
Southampton would be another as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
those are two definitely. Ireland for me too, just because of my roots. I would say to visit, not necessarily to investigate, but to visit because of the energy would be Stonehenge. That really comes up.
Oh,
Really,
yeah.
yeah. And actually,
That's
Dale
cool.
just went out there. He was there, I think, in June, and he visited it. And it's just, I would love to just see it in person and experience the energy.
What did he say about it, Nicole?
I haven't talked to him personally about it. I was just following his like videos and his photos, but he enjoyed his trip. There's a team member on GRS, Paul Adams, who lives out in the UK. So he met with him and us, I think Sylvia Schultz, and the three of them just toured various places, had a great time. So there's all kinds of videos on his page where they, did some ITC work and EVP work and all of that. But definitely Stonehenge for sure.
Oh,
And I'll
man.
think of others when I get off the show and I'll be like, oh, I should have said that. Like
there's
crazy.
there's always other shows. I'm going to
There's
be
always
around
a,
for a while.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. I
I have
love
other
your show.
podcasts.
What is
I'll
your
give
other podcast again?
Twilight Tonic Paranormal Podcast, and then I have another one coming out soon called Two Women Having Tea.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love that. That's a
Yeah,
catchy title. I like
yeah,
that.
it's my friend who's a psychic and
Mhm.
medium, and we're going to talk about all kinds of subjects: the Fae, women in the spiritual realm,
Fantastic.
all the fun stuff
Oh,
that us
yeah.
ladies like, and then we're going to talk about our tea that we're drinking.
Of course, right? Of course.
Why
Oh, I
not?
can't wait for that. I can't wait.
Oh, I know. Lenza would love to have you on.
Well, that'd be fun.
So, in your book, what was your most memorable interview in here when
Oh my
you were
goodness.
having people and interviewing them? What really hit you hard?
Again,
Hit you
it's
for?
because they're all so special. I mean, they're all so special. It's hard to pick one, but one of them that stands out is my friend William Brower's story, and that story is called The Orange Balloon.
Yep.
And he wrote it actually. I talked to him, but he actually, because we talked on the phone about it, he actually submitted. So that's his writing, I believe, in the book. And it's just when you read the story, it really goes to there's a lot of synchronicity to it. Just with what William Brower does. He's a
Mm-hmm.
historian, he's an RMS Titanic historian. So there's synchronicity with that. Uh, the spirit guide, Peter Orbea's story is very interesting, and that's in the chapter about spirit guides as well. Um, and then, of course, I hate to bring myself into it, but I actually talked about the dream visitations I had with Kaylee after her passing. And
Yes.
I wrote a little book on them. So I just basically borrowed from that book. And so that's something that's memorable just because I never imagined that we'd have that connection like that so strongly, and here it
Right.
is. So,
I find it interesting in your book that the way you talk about your animals, and people don't realize how important animals are
I
in
know.
the spiritual life.
Right.
Why we love them so much.
Oh, absolutely. The connections we have, and it's truly, phenomenal to have those types
Yeah.
of connections.
And cats are so. I always have a cat in the house.
Yes.
Life is
Right.
not complete without a cat in the
Oh, I
house.
know, right? Right? Of course.
And if
I
I don't have a cat, they find me. I'm sure they find you too.
They do. They very much do. I've had, it's weird. I've had people say, "When are you gonna get a new?" Now, I have a 22-year-old cat named Aries still. I adopted her when I was in college, and she looks like she's about 3 or 4, but she is 22 and a half years old. So, I love her dearly. So, she's still here, but I've had people ask me, "Well, are you gonna get new cats?" And I you know what? I've told Kaylee and her brother Max, who were litter mates, I said, "When you are ready for me to have another cat, when and if that will ever happen, you let me know." So, I'm kind of leaving it up to them. I know that sounds weird, but that's it.
Will you tell them the next one that comes here?
Yeah, right. I know,
I
right.
keep fostering. I'm
I
like,
know. Oh gosh, I'm
hey,
such a cat
Nicole,
person. I'm such a
I have
cat person.
two.
Right? I know.
I had two black
Uh,
ones not that long ago. Two
oh,
baby
I had a
kittens.
oh, you didn't oh, they're so sweet. Black cats are
Yeah.
lovely. I had a cat named Merlin. He was all black, and their personalities are so neat.
Oh, if I didn't have Pixel, I would have kept both of
Pixel.
them. Yes.
Pixel, that is an adorable name for a cat.
Well, Pixel's no longer Pixel size. She's well fed.
Oh, okay, that's like Max, 20-pounder. 20-pound cat.
Yeah, she's petite, but well, the rest of her is out of frame.
Oh my gosh, I love it. God bless them.
Yes, I love her. What's
Oh.
next for you, Nicole?
Oh my gosh. Well, the book, the anthology, and for some reason this year, the presentations are piling up. I have like
Really?
around 10 or 11, no, about 11 so far, September and October. So various presentations, and then a proposed, it's in the works, filming project. I can't say what yet, but we'll see if that works out. And just working, doing this, living life, having fun, right? So,
Yeah.
what about you?
So, oh gosh, I'm just doing the same thing. But you also have a podcast on the
I
same station.
do. Yeah, I do. The Afterlife Chronicles, and it's on hiatus now. So, but I'm kind of reworking it a little bit. So I'll get that regoing probably sometime, I don't know, in the fall maybe. So, and then of
Yeah.
course Haunted Voices, Thursday
Yeah, so
nights with Todd. Yeah.
it's with Todd Bates and then you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
We had it on Friday night, and then we moved it to Thursday night at 6 Pacific, so 9
that's
Eastern.
awesome. See, now I
Yeah.
can watch it then.
Yeah, it works better that way than because I was tired on Friday nights, and I had the earliest time zone. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Todd was exhausted Friday nights. I was. Thursday just, and actually it's my old time slot for the Afterlife Chronicles, which works well.
Yes, I know Todd gets tired.
We all do, let me tell you. Oh my gosh, I want the
Never,
energy
not
back when I
me.
was a kid. No, never? Really? Okay.
No, I'm always
Okay.
tired.
I
It's
know.
a
I
problem.
know you were I know you were kidding.
It's a chronic problem, actually, with all of us, I think.
Oh, I know. I know. You feel so alone though, but yet I'm sure it's with everyone.
Oh, yeah, and this energy these days it's just so, this energy is crazy.
It is. It's
Now, because of your investigations, do you pick up on all that, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I don't market myself as a psychic medium, but I have that ability. And I think we all do. We
Yeah,
all do. Just some people
absolutely.
are more open to it. Some people are more practiced at it. Some people are more in tune to it. We all do. But yeah, it runs in my family, and it's doing this work, it's opened it up more. But I'm
Yeah.
low profile about it. And that's just how I am.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And it's your grandmother that influenced you to do all of this, isn't it?
I think she was part of it. I think she knew before I did because I've had experiences since I was a child, and that sensitivity runs along the maternal line in my family. And so I think she knew before I did, and could be one of the reasons why I had that profound encounter with her when I was in college. I don't know, but I do credit her for helping me to get on this path because I'm not so sure it would have. It might have, but the timing was right.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, well, Nicole, they can get your book on Amazon.
Amazon
All
now.
of them.
Amazon, and then also I just now published it on Ingram Spark as well, and that will
Oh,
give it worldwide distribution.
oh,
So
that's
it's in the
awesome.
process. Yeah, it's in the process of being published on there. But yeah, Amazon for now. Hardback, paperback, ebook, and then soon to come audiobook as well.
Okay. Are you going to do lectures anywhere in the Midwest?
I'm planning, well, the station conference. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk too much about it, but I'm planning with that. And then that's on the books now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
But I'd like to come out there more and see you guys.
I
Be
know.
wonderful.
I would love to somehow get you out here so you could do lectures. I think
Oh, I
that
would
would be
love
awesome.
that. Likewise, get you guys out here too.
I'll never leave the Queen Mary then.
I know. If I could live on it, I would. I kid you not.
I'd be
Give me a
like,
stateroom.
yeah, I'm on the ocean. He's a
Right?
good bean. I'm staying here.
That's right. That's how I am.
Well, Nicole, I love talking to you.
I love
And
talking to you too.
I hope our paths collide soon.
They will. Absolutely. I hope to meet everyone next year if
Yeah,
everything
I'll
works
be there.
out. Yeah. I can't
Yep.
wait. It's just such a great community that we all have. So I love it.
Yes. It's wonderful talking to you. Everybody, make sure you get a copy of her book, The After Life Chronicles. It's on Amazon. It's a great price, and it's a really good read. So seriously,
Thank
get
you
it.
so much. Thank
You're
you. It means
welcome.
so much to me. You are wonderful. I love tonight. Keep in touch and
Nicole, I
we'll
will.
talk soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Good
Thank
night,
you.
Todd
Good
and
night.
Brianna. Good night.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.